meditation, positive self-talk, all these different things, they're just complete BS when it comes to stress and having some sort of control over your mental state. Meditation, positive self-affirmations, these things are great, but they're additional steps that are needed. They're basically add-ons to what needs to be the foundation. And the foundation needs to be physical stress exposed to willingnessly. I think I totally screwed that up. Willingly exposing yourself to physical stress. That is basically the foundation of taking care of mental stress, taking care of mental overload in real life. So, for example, right now I'm going through, a very stressful time in my life, but I know it's building character. I know it's building, basically what's going to set me up for my 30s. Right now I'm in my 20s, I'm 25 years old. I'm currently, let me kind of give you a breakdown. And I know, some people have much busier lives, but there's a lot going on in my life right now. And to start for basics, it's, being 25 years old. I love making YouTube videos. I like helping men, but I also want to do something that, I want to work towards a business and a career that it's in person. Like I love doing online virtual things and meeting and talking with people over Zoom and helping and consulting them. But I also want to do something like physical where I could see the fruits of my labor kind of transform. So I'm really working on towards figuring out what business that is. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards dentistry. Like I said in another video, I've kind of leaned towards this path because A, it's going to keep me busy, but C, it's also going to allow me to work with my hands and see the fruits of my labor visually in person. Don't get me, I'm not going to start making these YouTube videos because I love basically being like a fitness therapist, fitness consultant, all of the above. But I need something in person, and I want to build a business that's in person. And so right now, currently, why am I telling you this? Because I'm currently studying to raise my grade 12 marks, chemistry, physics, in high school. I didn't do a very good job in chemistry and physics. 88 in biology. But when it came to physics and chemistry, I got 70s. And applying to dental school with 70s is not really going to take you that far. So on top of having a full-time job, I'm also studying full-time in night school. Or online night school, let's just call it. And then on top of that, I'm also trying to stay busy and pull myself out of my full-time job so I can have a business where I can be, I don't even know how to explain it. It's so much, basically make my own schedule, my own hours, because personally the last thing I like is making and fulfilling somebody else's dream. I'm not saying, working for somebody. Like currently I'm working as a sales rep at Honda. It's great experience. You need to work for somebody, or you need to work as a foundation until you can, or your business can fully self-sustain you. But I'm balancing running a business or trying to run one in person, studying dentistry, going to work full-time, going to the gym, staying active, doing my cardio, and then there's one more thing, making these YouTube videos, outreaching and talking with clients. All of this is the most busiest I've ever been in my life. And I asked God, a year or two ago, I said, I need to be busier. I need to be doing more things. I want to feel fulfilled. And, looking back, when you're in it, you're like, I still don't feel busy enough. But what the point I'm trying to make is, when life gets stressful, when life feels like it's piling on top of you, you have so many things going on, some people burn out. Some people freak out. They have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, stress gets to them, and then their life starts falling apart. You know, their relationships with their coworkers, their family members, their brothers, their sisters, their partners, their kids, all this starts to suffer because they can't compartmentalize and stay composed while these things are going on in their life, so they freak out. But for me, the way I'm still able to keep moving forward and still want to take on more things in my life, you know, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I never feel like I'm doing enough for some reason. And it allows me to move in such a composed manner, is because I expose myself willingly to physical stress every single day. Every single day I wake up and I go lift heavy weights. You know, I'm pushing my body to the limits, sitting under the bench press, going under squats, working out, running. Right now I'm transitioning from running to swimming just because it's freezing, and if you don't like something, like, don't do it, right? And I don't really like running. I like swimming, and I want to focus more on that. And cardio is something that you need to include in your life, so you might as well do a cardio that you like doing. So I'm going to be transitioning into swimming now. But yeah, just constantly exposing myself to physical stress willingly. You know, my heart rate is up. My blood pressure is through the roof. My heart's pounding. I have this feeling of, you know, like euphoria. And those are the same type of symptoms you feel when you're stressed out. You know, you're stressed out before or nervous before a big presentation. You know, something is going down in work and everything's falling apart. Like, are you going to let that affect you? Are you going to let that affect your relationship with your wife? Are you going to let that affect your relationship with your coworkers? Or are you willingly going to expose yourself to stress every single day, physical, that this feeling isn't foreign to you? And the reason that I'm able to take on so much is because I willingly expose myself to stress every single day. So now that when I have a project due, when I have more work that needs to be done, and, you know, I start feeling these sensations outside of the gym, these feelings of higher blood pressure and nervousness, and, like, I don't know how to describe all these things of stress, but you know how stress feels. You know, tightening in the chest. It's not foreign to me, and I'm okay with it, and I can keep moving on through my day, and I don't let it affect my emotional state. I don't react. I don't, you know, treat people differently just because some stress is going on in my life. And this is why I think that the most successful people are the ones who can willingly expose themselves to stress every single day, physical, but also at the same time take on life stresses and move forward through them with ease, and still have great relationships, and have still great businesses, and still have, you know, great family time and whatnot, without them feeling like they're overworked or overwhelmed or burnt out and crash and have panic attacks. Because, you know that feeling, for example, that you go into an interview, it's a little bit stressful, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Your heart's racing, you're wondering how are you going to perform, you're wondering, oh, are you going to get the job, you're wondering all these different things, you're sweating. If you expose yourself to that feeling every single day in the gym, or in the pool, or on the bike, or on the treadmill, or on the asphalt, or under a squat rack, your body doesn't know the difference between stress from the bench press, for example, versus stress from work. Your internal dialogue does, which causes the stress, but the actual feeling itself, it's the same feeling, whether it's the feeling you get from working out or the feeling you get from an interview or a huge project or a deadline that you're stressed about. So the more you expose yourself to this feeling, the more your tolerance is raised. The more you're able to take on more of these kind of stressful feelings with ease. And it's all about really building your stress tolerance. But you don't want to build your stress tolerance by doing things like this, because it's hard to calm yourself down in the moment. Because your mind takes over, and then you can start spinning with thoughts, which just makes you feel more stressed out for longer periods of time, right? Short amount of stress, like controlled short periods of stress, is good for you. It's going to help you live longer, it's going to help you be healthier, it's going to keep you on your toes. But prolonged stress is like what slowly kills you, what brings cancer cells, what brings all these diseases and makes you just age faster. But you need the short stress so that the long-term stress doesn't become long-term. Let me explain that a little bit and unpack it. So, for example, let's say you're working on a project in a company and you have a deadline, call it whatever, November 1st or something, and it's January. If you're stressed from January all the way till November for 11 months about this and it's letting you affect your life, do you know how much more harm than good it's going to be? But if you're able to not let that overthinking stress of that project bring you down and let it affect you emotionally and sway you, and you're able to use the bursts of stress that you feel towards it when you're about to start working on the project and have it controlled, think how much more efficient you're going to do things. Think about how much less you're going to react and how much more you're going to be controlled in what you're doing. So now instead of long-term stress for the 11 months, moments of stress might jump out, but since you expose yourself to daily physical stress, you know how to control it and stop the mind from wandering on all these thoughts and basically elaborating and making the stress more than it really is. Right? Just like Marcus Aurelius said, we suffer more in our mind than we do in reality. And stress is manifested from suffering internally with our dialogue. So how do you turn the dialogue off? Number one is build the foundation of having those stressful symptoms exposed to you. But then number two, that's when the recognition and the self-talk and the meditation that I mentioned at the beginning can come into play as an additive, right? But the foundation has to be exposing yourself to those symptoms voluntarily. And then you can work on mindset strategies like writing and, pattern recognition and thought recognition. But you can't do those things in reverse, right? You can't do mindset training before you do the physical foundation. It's like if you were to frame a house or frame a building without putting the foundation of the house. The framing, what would you put it on top of? You don't have the foundation, right? It's not going to stay. Some wind's going to come over and knock it down. Because you can't talk yourself out of, or you can't control that dialogue when your heart is beating 150 beats per minute because you're so stressed out about something. But if you're so stressed out about something and your heart's beating 150 beats per minute and you're used to that beating and that feeling, you can calm yourself down with thoughts and with presence. right? Because presence is what grounds us, and grounding. Yeah, so the action tip I kind of want to leave you with is expose yourself to physical stress and watch how much easier your life is going to become and how much easier it's going to be dealing with mental pressure, because it's going to feel a lot less foreign. And how do you do this? Don't ego lift. But when you're at the gym, for example, because I know the gym the most, like I won't talk too much about the cardio aspect, but like when you're in the gym, when you're lifting these weights, when you're doing your reps and you're following your program, don't ego lift, right? Don't go there just to lift 1 or 2 times, because then it's not really focused and controlled stressed. You're not really raising your heart rate to the levels that it needs to be raised. But pick a weight that's challenging and focus on the movement, focus on feeling your heart beat through that movement. Really be present and watch how your blood pressure starts to rise, how your blood starts pumping through your veins faster and wires you awake almost. Right? Because that's what stress does to us. It almost like wakes us up. Like the sound of my alarm sometimes, it causes me stress, but it wakes me up. The alarm goes off, boom, like a little tag of stress. And then the day started, and then it comes calm down, right? Like that's a perfect example that you might have in your life too, right? You hear your alarm go off, you wake up, instant like stress, you're wired awake. If you snooze it, you're gonna fall right back asleep because you've calmed yourself down. But if you get out of bed, stop the alarm, and then move on with your day, not get back into bed, you've gone from that woken up stressful state to a now calmed, steady guided movement throughout the day. So moral of the story, willingly expose yourself to physical stress if you want to deal with mental pressure, mental stress, and the life of business and family and everything else that stress comes in many forms. I love you guys. If you're new, subscribe, consider subscribing. And I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. See you in the next one. Peace.